Alright guys, well I've been dreading this day for weeks, but it's finally come. We are dealing with all our baby spiders, so stick around to see how that goes. Now we've actually got quite a few things on the list today, so we're going to be getting through these Spiderlings, checking if they could do with being topped up into this. We are also going to be rehousing this stunning little Psalmopoeus pulcher, one of the little Panama Blondes, which is probably still fine in that tub, but I like to give them quite a lot of space when they're growing. And we're going to be getting the hundreds of Spiderlings out of this and into some tubs to make it easier to feed them. So with all that, it's probably about time we got started. And I think we're going to start with the biggest job first, which is all these wee Spiderlings. So we've got a few tubs that we're going to try and use, and I also have some little deli cups that I'm going to poke some holes in the lid so we can try and get a few just smaller groups into these ready to go. Because these are spiders that I'm perhaps hoping to give out to all you lovely guys watching, and maybe even sell a couple. But let's set up some super quick homes for them. And that is going to start with just getting a little bit of substrate in the bottom of each of these tubs. There we go. So you don't need a lot for this. It is literally just there to help keep some of that moisture, some of that humidity trapped in there for the Spiderlings. Now I didn't really have any tubs with holes small enough for these because they'll just escape. So what I'm doing is I'm using some little cups that I had pre-prepared for fruit fly cultures. So this is cheesecloth on the top, so it's just a little bit of hole cut out with some cheesecloth on the top, and that should be small enough to allow plenty of air in for them, but not any to escape. Now next, they do need something to climb around there, so I'm going to go a couple of ways with that. I'm going to use some torn up bits of cork bark and a few of them near the bottom, just to give them a wee bit more substantial surface to climb on. And then on top of that, I'm going to use an old favourite of mine, which is just some raffia strands. And with that, we've got everything that our little spiders are going to need to thrive. It's really important when we set up these cups that there's lots of surface area in there for it to climb around on. They will just hang around on the sides and stuff, and if you have a lid on, they'll go around the corners. But if we've got all this in here, that gives them much more opportunity to hunt, sneak up on some of the prey like those little fruit flies we'll be putting in, and more areas to anchor and web further down the bottom, which might help keep them away from the lid. Now let's get these wee guys down. Now I am not exaggerating when I'm saying they're everywhere in here. I have no idea how I'm going to stop escapes. I might just have to live with the fact that a couple are going to get out into the room and I might catch them when they're bigger. Another thing you might notice behind is that Macaroni's enclosure is open at the moment. So I'm doing a lot of choice-based handling with my snake, so I'm trying to give her the space to come out if she wants to. And if she does, she'll get to have a little wander. I'll maybe get her up on my shoulder or something and let her hang out as we're doing this. But it is going to be completely her choice if she does want to come out and interact, which is a new thing I'm trying to do with all my reptiles, and it's going really well so far. Now the more I look at this, the more I think it's inevitable that there is going to be some escapes. So I think I am just going to use my hands. I'm going to try and see if I can scoop up a little bit of web, which they have absolutely filled this thing with. Some of them are getting quite big actually. And just see if I can move a few into the cup. I do want to get the mum out as well. Now a lot of these look like dead flies that they've caught. Let's see if I just scoop the cup into some of that web. Now it's all over the room at the moment. What we want is them to actually be in the cup. Right, so we've got about 2 babies in there. Only about 500 more to go. Well, I think mum knows there's something going on. Now maybe what I try and do is take mum out. Okay, now there's definitely still a few in there, so we'll have to deal with that at some point. I'm going to pop her to the side. No, fuck. Right, this is quite quickly turning into chaos. I think there is more spiders on the desk than there is in the cup. Right, I got everything that was down on the desk, I think, now into the cup. You can see quite a few in there. Let's see if I can get a few more in. Paintbrush seems to be the way to go for this. Now, I think that'll do for one cup for now. Oh, now we go on the edge. Let's get you in. Just as I get that done, the top of the lid has fallen off, so there is now a massive hole. Ugh. Right, let's get some super glue and try and fix that before they all escape. Right, that second one went a lot better. I've got a wee bit of a technique now. I've got one more lid. So what I'm doing is putting the cup into the corner where a lot of the spiders are. I'm just giving a little tap, and they're essentially all just flying into there, crawling in. Right, they're fleeing. It goes so fast. Now, there is still a lot of baby spiders in here. A lot of spiders now. Let's see if we can start filling up some of the other cups. Right, now I've got a few spiders in these cups. I think I'm going to leave it there for now. I will come back to this later and see if I can collect any more. But it looks like there's a lot of sheds in there. So they've actually went through another stage, which is pretty cool. So I might have a few sheds in here that I'm thinking are spiders. So I'm going to let them grow out a little bit. See if I can come back, fill up some more cups at some point. And I am going to give each of them just a little spray of water. It's actually pretty cool. Now that they're in the cup, they have all started to go down into the soil. It might be quite hard to see, but they're all starting to gather at the bottom of the cup instead. Oh, I keep getting the feeling that I'm covered in spiders now. Oh. No doubt I will find some around my desk, but that's a problem for future Dan. Just found another baby as we're tidying up, so we'll see if we can get it. Now we've got a single baby in this little cup. So I just use a pin to poke a few holes in it, so there's a couple of air holes in there, a few bits for it to hold into and some water. And I do plan to get quite a few more in those cups as we go. Hopefully the ones we find, that'll be quite good to have them in. So I think I'll poke a few more cups while we're getting this other stuff set up. And now we have a few pots ready for if there is any more escapees turning up. Now we're going to move on to some of our Tarantula Slings. So there is at least 5 or 6 tarantulas in here that we're going to rehouse. So we're going to start by getting these little pots ready. That are only a slight upgrade from the other ones. But it'll make it easier for me to store them, and also with the way these lids are, it's actually going to make it easier for me to get in and do maintenance and feed the spiders. So a bit of substrate mix in each one. Right, so we've got each of our little enclosures set up with some soil in it. Next I'm going to include a couple extra bits just to help with the design slightly. So we're going to pop in some leaf litter into each one. So the leaf litter is going to help with some of the little springtails and things that we're going to have in there. As it breaks down, it gives them something to feed on as mould grows and stuff. But it also gives the spider more places to hide, and they can use it to cover up their burrows and things as they web it. And next I'm just going to put a little piece of sphagnum moss into each enclosure. Sphagnum is brilliant because when it's dry it gives them lots of places to put anchor points for their webbing, but also if you wet it, it holds moisture really well and helps up that humidity in the enclosure. And you'll find that every sling needs a little bit more humidity than their adult life stages. So now we're just going to add some water to them. Now I don't really add water bowls to my sling enclosures when they're quite young. Me watering it every other day when I'm feeding them tends to be enough for them to live off and thrive off. If I was going out for any reason, I was going to be away for a week or so, then I would add a small water dish in. Right, now let's start with our first spider. So this is our little Spiderlings, which is a little tiny sling. And if it is still quite small, we might not move it up just yet. Okay, it's getting a decent size. I think we will try and get it into the new enclosure. It's looking pretty good now. Oh, and it's jumped out. This is exactly why we have a catch cup ready. Let's get his water bowl and its hide across first. He's determined not to go into this. Right. And we've done it. Right, I wish I had the camera up close for that. So we moved the little water dish across. I'm going to pop the lid on there because I do still need to print out labels for these little guys. So that's a little Spiderlings Litsi moved across. Now let's have a look at our Davis pentaloris. Again, we're going to take out the little water dish, put that in the corner. Now that's a little mole. So where is the rest of the spider? Now this one was a little bit harder to get out, so I've just scooped out the soil slowly into another tub. Here it is. We'll see if we can get into its new home. Second rehouse. What's up next? Brachypelma's already done. Oh, the little Cochiana brunipes. Let's see if this is big enough yet. Still quite a small spider, but I reckon it's big enough for this enclosure. Steal your head to start with, pal. Little water dish. I think it's out looking for food, it knows what's going on. Now let's get you into your new enclosure. Perfect. These fruit flies are a decent size, so we'll put a couple of these in. A bit more than a couple. Another spider down. So we don't need all of these enclosures. We need another 2. So we have still got our A geniculata to go, and our Cyclosternum schmardy. Now unfortunately this might be a sling that's not made it. Couldn't find it when I was looking in the tub, and I've just kind of emptied all the substrate out, and there still doesn't seem to be anything in there. I Unless this is one I've already moved. Oh, never mind. This is one I've already potted up, so this little guy is in here and thriving, so we don't need that tub. We'll pop him back. Next, our A geniculata, which is actually looking a good size now. Looks like it may be due a molt soon actually, so I hope I've not disturbed it too much. So we'll give it a little bit of moisture. Let's get the lid on. The wee hungry guy. And then our last one is actually a Brachypelma harmorii, which we rehoused not that long ago, but unfortunately the enclosure it's in has started to crack and split, so I want to move it because I think it's about to go into a molt and I want to make sure it's moved before that happens. There we go, straight into its little burrow. No, he's got a very dark bum actually, might be looking to molt. And seeing as we already have a sticker for this one, we might as well reuse it. There's our Mexican red knee, Brachypelma harmorii. Now let's get the rest of the labels printed and tidied up a little bit. And now we're moving on to the biggest upgrade. So this is my girlfriend's favourite tarantula we have in the collection. And it is getting a brand new home inside here. So this is Psalmopoeus pulcher, also known as the Panama Blonde. It is an absolutely amazing tarantula, but it is lightning quick. So I've got to figure out how I'm going to get into here without it escaping and getting everywhere. But this should be a good enclosure for it. It's a nice little front opening one which will make it easier to get to, with a little swivel lid on top to make it easier to feed. These guys do build a lot of web, so it's probably going to web up a lot of the top and the front, so having that little feeding hatch will be pretty useful for it. And again, I think like everything else, let's start with a good layer of substrate. Now I am going to fill it basically right up to where the lid is, because I want to give it the option make a little burrow if it does want to. It probably won't, but I would like to give that option anyway. And before any other stuff, we're going to get a little water dish. Now, this is an arboreal species, so we want to give it plenty to climb on. And I got a couple of things here to choose from. So we've got a couple of bits of cork bark. Now, we'll have to see if we can fit these in with all this substrate. There we go. So we've got a couple of bits of cork bark in there. He will, or she, don't know what it is yet actually, they will web it up in no time. And that'll hold it in place nice and secure. Now, just like with every other spider, we are going to add in a little bit of moss. So I'm going to kind of pop that down behind some of these bits of cork bark. That will give it something to web onto, and also it will help increase the humidity back there, which will help when it is going through a molt. Stop it drying out. Now that moss is in there, we'll give it a little water. And then last touch, now that the moss is in, just a little bit of leaf litter, which this little guy was. And with that, our new enclosure is ready. Perfect for this little arboreal tarantula to move into. Now, let's try and actually get it in. So as I say, these guys can be absolutely lightning quick. So we're going to have catch cups ready. It's just in the top there. So let's see if we can convince it to come out. And it's in. That was much smoother than I expected that to be. I thought that for sure that was going to be a missing tarantula for a couple of days. Awesome. Now we will let him settle in for a wee bit. So guys, while we're waiting for my little wireless printer to charge so we can get the labels on these, something happened over the weekend which I wasn't quite expecting. So we hit 1,000 subscribers officially. At the moment, we are sitting on 1,020 the last I looked, which is just incredible. I had wanted to do like something for the 1,000 subscriber special once we had got all those viewers, but it just happened so quickly I didn't have anything prepared. I'm hoping to do a little giveaway or something at some point to just show thanks to the people who are kind of coming along on this journey with me. But as I said, it happened so quickly that I just wasn't ready for it. I've not got anything prepared. Hopefully what I would like to do is give away some sort of little starter kit to someone. So maybe a starter tarantula or a starter spider, maybe even a mantis or something, and everything that they need to keep that. And hopefully, depending on what it is, maybe even food for the first week or so. So keep an eye out for that in the future, please. And yeah, thank you guys for subscribing. It's been crazy so far. As I said, it's just caught me off guard how quickly we've grown, so it's absolutely amazing, thank you. And if you are looking for other ways to follow the channel and see what's going on, maybe other ways to enter some of these giveaways, check out the Patreon. There is a free tier as well, which at the moment includes everything else. So the guys that are paying, thank you very much, and that's going towards a lot of what we're doing. And there is going to be extra stuff in the future for the guys that have the paid tiers, but at the moment the free tier gets you access to everything, so why not join the community in there and see what we've got going on. And then lastly, thank you guys for watching. We are quite quickly coming up on the 4,000 watch hours, which is what we need for the next tier of YouTube monetization when it comes to ads and things. So you guys watching these videos go a long way towards that, thank you very much. But I've got another video to record which will be coming out next week, so until next time, cheerio and rasta.